My bad. Dear respected friends, families, Honorable George Galloway, the leadership, I thank you also, Linda Bene, who supported me throughout. Everybody else, thank you very much, and the people of Kashmir who've given me the opportunity to come forward and present this motion in front of you. My heart is heavy, yet my resolve runs brighter than ever, as I share my first-hand experience from Kashmir. Just 2 months ago, honorable ladies and gentlemen, I was in Kashmir. Just 2 months ago in December 2024. My group and I witnessed the warfare that gripped the region when the Indian Army crossed the line of control whilst I was there. While sharing a traditional Kashmiri tea with my friends, news of Indian incursion into Pakistan's Poonch sector broke. The air crackled with fear. It crackled with fear. And I felt it into my bones, we all did. We had to immediately evacuate the restaurants we were in, and then we had to seek the safety in the central Kashmir. This brief glimpse into the life on the supposedly independent side of Kashmir. But the reality in the Indian occupied Kashmir, ladies and gentlemen, is infinitely more devastating. At our Koli Solidarity Day meeting on 5th February, we commemorated the Captain Hussain Shaheed freedom movements, the freedom which was achieved, of that independent Kashmir as it stands today by Captain Hussain, who was a martyr of British Army, which I'll be talking later about, is that Parveen Khan spoke about the atrocities that the Indian side of the Kashmiris are facing, which includes that the women which have been raped, and the repeated rape stories of the daughters of these Kashmiri people. The litany of abuses is endless, which includes the extrajudicial killings, which includes the arbitrary arrests, and the torture, which includes also sexual violences and all sorts you can talk about. The internet shutdowns and the imprisonment of the defenders of human rights. Ladies and gentlemen, we have over 4,000 political activists as we speak today, as I stand here in front of you in Kashmir, that India has not given the voice to. They are politically imprisoned. Some may argue that we should not be involving ourselves in the international affairs. I completely disagree. I ask you, is it not the very core of the Workers' Party mission to champion the oppressed, to say no to the war, to say no to NATO? In Kashmir, we draw our strengths from George Galloway's iconic moments living alongside Nelson Mandela, going cave to cave, struggling for the rights of freedom of the expression of people in the South African belt. Now, it gives us all hope. It gives Kashmir hope, Mr. Jeff Galloway, and they highly appreciate your work you've done for the people of Kashmir and the people of the world, and we much appreciate that. Say that India is too powerful. Whoa, we are doing business with India. Now, let me make it very clear and set the record right that we must never support the oppressor, no matter who might be. And we must never think of even shaking hands to do with business deals when it comes to a person who is selling the lives of people. We do not trade with them. We do not. Now, one person stands today, as I'm in front of all of you here, and the others will join in. It's just a matter of raising your voice and bringing the attention to the people of what's going on in Kashmir. We must not cower before the oppressor, regardless of the consequences, whether it be economic or political. Now, I also disagree that this is not a British problem. I disagree because we know imperialism and colonialism is a British problem, and we must address it. We must clean ourselves with the promise that we made to Captain of British Army, a brave soldier, Captain Hussain, who was martyred, liberating the independent Kashmir which stands today. We made a promise. The British military, the British monarchy, they made a promise to Captain Hussain that Kashmir will be liberated. I'm still waiting for that promise to be fulfilled. And I stand here today, 77 years after, not begging, but taking and asking for the right of Kashmiri people to be given to the people of Kashmir, the voice to be given to the people of Kashmir. Let not India or Pakistan decide what Kashmir wants. Let Kashmiri people from the belt and the region of Kashmir decide what they want for the future. They have a voice. Thank you. And I rest my case in front of you, and I also look forward to any questions, which I'll be looking forward to answer with my complete good intentions. Thank you very much.
A lot of this is going towards what we consider to be the role, stance, the overall principles of the Workers' Party. Are we just focused on things linked to Britain directly, currently, or are we not only enormously concerned with Britain, but concerned with oppression wherever it may be, whoever's conducting it upon whoever? Yes. Right? I mean, yesterday there was a big dialogue about whether this is a socialist party or not, right? If it is a socialist party, surely that's a value of socialism to alleviate oppression across the globe. Socialism by its nature is internationalist, no? Yes. Right? So I think we really should have some principles, some consistent universal principles when thinking about these things. Are they free? Yes or no? Are they oppressed? Yes or no? Have they yet arrived at self-determination? Yes or no? If not, support them. Thank you.
I would like to start by thanking Umar for bringing this to the Congress. I'm a daughter of Kashmir. My heritage is that I have half of my family who are Hindu descent, my maternal side who live in India, and my paternal side of the family is actually Muslim origins and descent from Azad Kashmir, also known as Pakistan Administered Kashmir. I would ask that this motion be remitted, we give it the proper consideration, and just as my sister Lauren faced a little bit of an unnecessary backlash, I would say, I would ask you that you consider language that is used. The language that is used in this particular motion, and I've had a conversation with Umar, is that I've spent 34 years lobbying for the issue of Kashmir. I've travelled up and down the United Kingdom, I've spoken in Parliament, European Parliament, Pakistan. I was denied access to India to speak on it because of my Pakistani Kashmiri origin. The people that we talk about, the hundreds and thousands of people that we talk about of Kashmiri origin, they are different to the people of Ireland. They are different to the people of Scotland. And I say this with the deepest respect for those people and also to the former speakers. Why? Because we are dual nationals. It's very easy for the Workers' Party to go out and ask for votes from Kashmiri origin people, saying that we believe in what you, and we feel for you, we have empathy for you. Your daughters are our daughters, your mothers are our mothers, your daughters that are raped, that are abused, are ours. And the 8-year-old girl that was raped and then dumped outside and found after days, our heart bleeds, but yet for some reason we feel we cannot. But why not? If it is within the constitution of the Workers' Party that we cannot speak for another nation that may be directly or indirectly affected by our previous ancestral policies, because they are, it's unfinished business of the British Raj, then I perhaps should have been that has a legacy. We have a leader that has spoken on the issue of Kashmir for decades, far longer than I have, probably twice as long that I have. And that's one of the reasons why I stood with George before I joined the Workers' Party, because he is a man of integrity and he believes.
Actually, we're going to support these indigenous people and not these indigenous people. I think we need to support this motion. We need to act on the UNHCR, UN Security Council resolution, push for them. And I know colleagues here in this room have said that this isn't a British problem. This is a British problem. It was caused by the imperialistic when Britain abandoned India and Pakistan, they crawled out with their tail between their legs. They purposely left 4 princely states undecided. Kashmir was one of those princely states. My ancestors fought for the freedom of that land. My grandparents lived on the border of that land, fearing for their lives every single day. Why? Because Indian imperialism, acting with impunity, managing the daily lives of indigenous people. Not many of you know, but India, at its will, imposes a curfew on the people living in Kashmir. Who the hell are India to impose a curfew on those people? India acts with impunity. A few weeks ago, I was reading a horrific case, and this happens all the time, every single year, every single month. 8-year-old girl abducted by Indian temple priests, 5 days held in captivity in a temple, sexually abused. When she died, they threw her out on the street. Why is this not a British problem? Why is this not a problem for those of us of the working class who hail from around the world, from these different places? Why is it not our problem? I think we should
United Kingdom holds historic responsibility to grant Kashmiri people the right to choose their own destiny as any other nation. Our party, that's the second reason. Our party has always stood for the protection of human rights and cessation of any violations in oppressed regions. And finally, every nation has the right to self-determination and to decide its own future by vote. By supporting this motion, we offer Kashmiri people a hope that their voices are being heard, that their status quo of over 77 years can be changed. Let's give Kashmir a chance for a brighter, happier future filled with peace and prosperity. From my personal perspective, I want to refer here to 2 examples which are close to my heart and to my roots. First is a referendum held in Crimea in March 2014 to determine the status of Crimea when over 96% of Crimea residents voted in favor of returning to Russia. The second example happened in the same year of 2014 in the same country, Ukraine, when people of 2 republics of Ukraine voted for independence from Ukraine. Therefore, people of any country should have the right to have their say in determining their future. Kashmir should not be denied that right, and we, Workers' Party, have collective responsibility to support oppressed people in other regions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for coming forward and giving your views. I completely reject the notion that people are saying that this is not a British problem. It is clearly a British problem. You can't just change it. You can't change it the way you might think. Why? Because this was the very promise made to the Captain Hussain Shaheed of the British Army, by the British military, by the British monarchy, by the British government in 1947. So we cannot just, clean our hands off this topic. We all are responsible. But what's more important is the responsibility with accountability. So we all need to stand together and, deliver to the people of Kashmir. And what are the benefits? Let me reassure you, with respect to the guys who are Sikhs, Hindus, we're not here fighting against religion. In Kashmir, there are 70% Muslim, there are Hindus, there are Sikhs, there are other minorities, Christians and Jews, maybe. But what I'm trying to say here is, let's stand for the humanity. We're not here standing to make it like a Sikh nation or a Muslim nation. We're here standing for the rights of Kashmiris. And I've been to the land of Kashmir, where they're oppressed badly. The talks about the rape of women, children, and taking the dignity away from you. Is that what we want? Now then we say, oh yes, we are supporting China. Yesterday you all voted for it. Now respect that. On the other side, you don't want to support Kashmir because they're poor enough, aren't they? Because they're not helped enough. But how can this be fairness, that on one side you take China as a supporter, as Mr. George Gallo says, on the other hand you leave Kashmiris to rot? We will not accept that. Now number 2. I can see, and this is my work, mark my words if you guys want to, I do envisage a war between India and Pakistan on the matter of Kashmir. And if you do not vote and you do not pass this motion, tomorrow you will be in the battlefield fighting between the 2 nuclear states. And if you guys want to take that, good luck to you. Now, someone said about the land, it's a land dispute. To me it's not. to the Kashmiris is no. There's 1 million Kashmiris living in the UK as we all spoke. We are British citizens. We are here with Mr. Galloway because we want Kashmir to be free. Not to go with Pakistan, not to go with India. For Kashmiris to decide 3 things. Right of self-determination first, of course. After that, you decide you want to go with Pakistan, you want to go with India, go. Or you stay as a state independent with your own rights. But this is war. We sit down and go away at the NMC, and I agree with that. For the remittances that we can go to NMC and talk more about how we can take this forward. Because the motion will be accepted, and this is the voice of Kashmiri people. I thank you for that.
I cannot allow to pass the notion that we should not be interfering in international affairs. I cannot allow that to pass unremarked. And neither can you pick and choose which international affairs you have. Particularly when, in the case of the Indian subcontinent, the footprint of the British Empire is still grinding on the faces of hundreds of millions of people. And I grew up in a tradition, and I see some even younger people than me are still in that tradition, where we didn't want to attack India because it was an ally of the Soviet Union. But that India no longer exists. There is no Soviet Union and there is no such India. Modi is not our friend. Modi is our enemy. And his India is our enemy. So a misplaced a belief that India is what it was in previous lives of ours does not do us any service. What I will say is there's 1 million Kashmiri voters in Britain, and most of them are predisposed to vote for us. And we have an obligation to them to hear their voices and to feel their pain. So I'll certainly be ensured that the motion which has been remitted by a 2-to-1 majority is properly codified and properly put into action. So the Kashmiri people in Britain and in occupied Kashmir should be assured that they have a friend in us. We believe in self-determination. That's why we back the British people's right to leave the European Union. It's why we backed and believed in the Scottish people's right to determine their relationship to the rest of the British state. Self-determination does not mean that you have to support independence. Personally, I'm almost always against independence because I've lived long enough to realize that independence is very rarely actually independence. It's merely division, it's merely a weakening of the forces that are required for the liberation of the people. But you can't deny people the right to self-determination because they might vote the wrong way. That would be a negation of your stated belief that you supported self-determination. Personally, I look forward to the day when we can all rejoin a free Europe of independent and democratic peoples. I am European. I feel European. I love Europe. I just hate the EU. That's what they've done. Now this is the anniversary year of the Bandung conference of the non-aligned movement, from what became the non-aligned movement, when all roads led to Indonesia and Bandung, and I myself will be a part of the celebration of that great event, that great process, very soon. We believe in opposition and rejection of the hegemony, the domination of anybody, any part of the world over any other part, any country over any other country. We believe in liberation. That's why we supported the people of Crimea's right to reject the fascist coup d'etat that took place in 2014 in Ukraine. Why we support. Not because we hate Ukrainians, far from it. Some of the greatest people in modern history were Ukrainians who fought behind the lines against the fascist beasts, who sacrificed themselves as partisans and guerrillas, who defended the Soviet motherland when it was invaded by fascism. We're not against Ukrainians, very far from it. But we will not stand idly by while the bodies of the Ukrainians are utilized by NATO and by imperialism purely for the purpose of weakening and dividing Russia so that they can dominate it. And neither are we against Jews. We love Jews. We just hate Zionism. That's the difference. My playlist is full of Jews. My library is full of books written by Jews. Some of the greatest people I've ever met. Was referred to earlier, my role in, tiny role, minuscule role, but role in the liberation of South Africa from apartheid. All of my leaders were Jews. I fought under the banner of Umkhonto Nsizwe, the spear of the nation, the fighting forces of the African National Congress. Who was the leader? Joe Slovo, Ruth Firth, Albie Sachs, Ronnie Kasper, Dennis Goldberg. All these great people were Jews. But they were Jews who rejected apartheid. They were Jews who rejected the oppression of other people on the basis of who or what they were. So as we look at our international policy, in the round there will be individual disagreements on this or that theatre of operations. There will definitely be, and entirely legitimately be, a difference of emphasis because we can't do everything. At the same time, we regard certain theatres of conflict at this point in time as more significant, more meaningful than others. That's inevitable. We're a small party. But we have to have principles. And the principles that guide our international policy is that we are on the side of the people. We're on the side of the masses. We're on the side of the workers. We oppose those who seek to exploit, divide, weaken, and even kill them. And that's the focus or the lens through which we view every international issue. Somebody said to me once, "You've got a side in every fight." I do. I do actually. Even where I know a limited amount about them. I know which side I'm on. And I know which side I'm against. The Workers' Party are against the oppressors, the imperialists, the empires, and on the side of their victims. Thank you very much.